Hello guys, welcome to Benghazi TV right here on YouTube, and like I always tell you to subscribe to the channel if you have not. All you do is go down there, you see that button, subscription, click on it and subscribe to the channel. Plus you can click also on the bell, get notified whenever we put something here on Benghazi TV. Tomorrow the Black Stars will be a battle against Uruguay. It's a game we've been speaking about for all this while since the draw for the World Cup was made. Revenge, revenge, revenge. It's been the clarion call for almost every Ghanaian out there. And tomorrow will be the D-Day. We'll find out if our Black Stars can revenge over Uruguay or otherwise. Today, Suarez has been in the news for all the reasons. He will not apologize to us in Ghana because according to him, he's not done anything wrong. And so he won't apologize for what he did some 12 years ago. Anyway, so I can tell you about all of that in our chat with one of the great sports journalists and pundits in Ghana, who is our guest today as we take a look at the Black Stars game on Friday. Collins ATTA POKU Clancy is a media personality in Kumasi with Sompa FM and Sompa TV, formerly with Kesben FM, Kesben TV, Metro FM, Capital Radio. Mention all the stations he's been at. He's our guest today as we look ahead to the games, the game also for the Black Stars. So let's get into our chat with Collins ATTA POKU of Sompa FM and TV. Okay, great. The general trend is what we are experiencing at the World Cup. Let's now focus on the Black Stars, which of course is the biggest brand that we have an interest in, obviously, from our part of the world. Now, at our first game against Portugal, Ghana lost. Then Ghana won against South Korea by a 3-2 margin. We have a game against Uruguay tomorrow. We'll talk about that game, but your assessment of Team Ghana at the World Cup so far?
Well, Ghana has actually far exceeded my expectations, not just with results, but even with organization. You look at how we organized ourselves at the last African Cup of Nations, and you ask yourself, what kind of work has gone in? Even against Nigeria and South Africa in these World Cup playoffs, you could clearly see that we were not so compact and well organized. But you look at our game against Portugal, and there are phases or transitions that you see that, look, Ghana has actually improved in their defensive organization. Albeit we've had personnel who stars actually have exceeded my expectations. They've done so well. You look at not just the results they've gotten in the competition, but the way they are organized and how they are playing. It's a far, far, far improvement on what happened previously at the last AFCON. And the fact that you could see there are identifiable patterns of play in our team. And it appears there is a collectivity around how we play, people working for the others. Especially I watched Gideon Mensah and Jordan Ayew on our left-hand side the other day, and I was asking, when did we start seeing this level of support from our wing forwards to our fullbacks and all that? So yes, Black Stars have done very well in terms of their general play. Secondly, the results they've gotten in the competition is actually one that I actually didn't expect them to get, because look, I expected that by the time we play against Korea, or by the time we play against Uruguay, we will be done and about exiting the competition. But we're actually second, and we have a very good chance of progressing out of the group, God willing, tomorrow, which in itself is testament of the work that has been done and how far the team has come.
Great. So let's look ahead to the game against Uruguay then. Obviously, huge game. Before the World Cup, it was a very game that lots of Ghanaians were always making references to for the reasons you all do know about. 12 years ago, Luis Suarez, South Africa, and the stories you all do know. The game is on this Friday. Realistically, does the Black Stars have a chance against Uruguay in that game?
Then, based on what we've seen from both teams in this competition, Black Stars really have a realistic chance. Bar the psychological barrier of us going for revenge in 2010, I actually think if you let the football do the talking, instead of focusing on this revenge, and we don't play into the hands of Suarez and co. After what they did during the pre-game press conference today, we have a chance. Uruguay are not playing so well, and they are not lucky. That's the part that excites me the most. They are not getting results. They are the only team yet in the competition to score, and I suspect they are the team that have had efforts go off the goalpost the most. They did so against Portugal. They did so twice against Korea in their opening game. So it's quite clear, it's quite obvious that they lack something, and it's lack because they play so well, they approach play and all that. So I wish it continues like that. I just don't want to hear tomorrow Uruguay finally scored, and if they score against Ghana, it becomes a problem for us. Then, Ghana has not been able to beat any of the former champions in the competition. Germany, Brazil, Italy, name them. And it's only fair, Uruguay themselves, so it's only fair that we are able to hold our own. Even a draw could potentially qualify us so that we are good to go.
But let's look at the team, the players we have at realistically, what should be the approach if, for instance, you were in the dugout or was passing out a word to the coach or to Ado? What should be the approach of Team Ghana for the game tomorrow?
Stephen Appiah and Co qualified these people in 2006. They did so in 2010. They dare you and your people to make sure you write your name in gold. Qualify Ghanaians to the next round. They would forever remember you. Forget about Suarez. Be compact and help each other on the pitch. Make sure you are first to every area ball, first to every cross. Ben, that is a weakness that Uruguayans will want to exploit. And unlike Korea and Portugal, the Uruguayans have some of the tallest attackers in the competition. In Cavani, in Darwin Nunez, in Maxi Gomez, even Suarez, who is not so tall, is very capable in the air, and it's something we must protect. You also look at how they set up in the middle. That is the area of their game I suspect they will change. I suspect they might bring in a defensive midfielder to push Rodrigo Betancourt and Freddy Valverde up. And in that, they could try bringing on FC Porto's Manuel Ugarte to come and play as the number 6. Or they could maintain the 2, and instead of Matias Vecino, probably introduce Georgian de Arrascaeta to come and help create something for them. He's not been so fit, so they are quite careful with the Flamingo man. So, yes, Uruguay would need creativity and some bit of luck, and they could get something out of this game. But that is the area I feel we should mark them. If I see Manuel Ugarte or Rodrigo Betancourt playing, Salis and Partey should be able to provide competition for them in the middle. Likewise, I believe that Salisu has what it takes to play and hold his own together with Daniel Amate against Cavani, Suarez, Darwin Nunez, or Maxi Gomez. My only problem is their ability to exploit our fullback positions, and that's something they will seek to do with Guillermo Varela or Martin Caceres on the right, and then they would put up Martin Oliveira of Napoli on the left.
In talking about exploiting our laterals, would that then mean that the coach possibly have to go back to the 5-back system like we saw in a game against Portugal, the 3-back and then the wing backs, to ensure we can match the Uruguayans on the flanks with their attack?
Absolutely, Ben. As every minute progresses, Uruguay are under pressure to score, and they will be struggling to break us down because they lack that much creativity. All we need to do with that 5-back is that we don't allow balls to drop in between the defense and the midfield, because both Betancourt and Valverde are adept at shooting from distance and attacking you from range with shots. So once we are able to mop up those second balls there, I'm pretty sure we can hold our own against them.
Okay, in wrapping up, Atta, do you really, where do you see this Black Stars team getting to at this World Cup? After having watched them twice.
I told you before the competition even started that I don't even care about the World Cup because then it came too early for this group. But having tasted the World Cup and having felt it, these boys should be ready to play as the best African team in the 2026 World Cup in Mexico, Canada, and then the United States. Also, in January 2024, when we all meet in La Côte d'Ivoire, we shouldn't be going in as one of the teams being looked at, but rather one of the favorites for the competition, because we are putting together what I would call a very decent team capable of competing. But we would need time, and let's trust the process. Let's not do anything to hinder the progress of the development of this group. By that I mean that we know Tuadu would step down after the competition. Once he does that, let's make sure that the continuous process is accepted and pursued, probably consulting the substantive coach so that things can progress.
Atta, I'm grateful. Thank you very much.
So all the best to Black Stars, and every Ghanaian should support Black Stars. It was painful. I've discussed this Suarez Uruguay thing in 2010 with you. It was painful for everyone, and I'm optimistic that tomorrow we can right the wrong. So go Black Stars.
The World Cup has been in session for some days now. Let's take an overview of the whole tournament itself, the host nation Qatar, and the work they've put in. How would you sum up the work put in by the host nation Qatar for this World Cup?
Spectacular. That's the right word to describe what they put up in the Middle East. Indeed, they wanted to show the world this is the first time they are hosting the World Cup. And you look and speak to volunteers, you look at the infrastructure, you look at accessibility, and then you look at affordability for the fans coming in. Aware of the fact that Qatar is quite an expensive place to live in, you would want to say they've put up a spectacular show for everybody. And they've treated the games so well. There were a lot of things we were expecting to see: the clash in cultural identities, the clash in beliefs and practices, and the general human rights abuse issues. But they've put up quite a splendid show for everybody to see that indeed they wanted this, and they wanted to show the world that the Far East is ready and had done so in Japan. And the Middle East is really the new face of Asian football. So Qatar have done really, really well, putting up a masterpiece of a showpiece for our World Cup.
Awesome one. Now, let's also look a bit at the African teams at this particular World Cup. And Senegal have qualified already from their group. Others like Morocco, Ghana, Cameroon are in there still with a chance, depending on how things pan out in the remaining fixtures. Tunisia already are out, unfortunately, for Africa. But Africa, and with this particular World Cup, how would you rate our performance at the Mundial?
I've not seen us do better than what we are doing now. The last time we had two teams qualifying for the round of 16 was in 2014 in Brazil, when Algeria and Nigeria progressed to the round of 16, albeit none of them could survive anyway. But it's always been a solitary maneuver for Africa. We go back to 1994 or 1990 in Italy, it was Cameroon. 1994, it was Nigeria. 98, this is Nigeria until they lost out to Denmark. You move away from that and come to 2002, it was Senegal alone who progressed. 2006, it was Ghana alone. You come to 2010, it was Ghana alone. 2014, then we had two, Nigeria and Algeria. 2018 in Russia, when we did not have a single African country progress to the next phase of the competition. But we have certainties now in Senegal, who have already qualified. And we are looking at the potential of Morocco joining today. And they are in a good position to proceed on that tangent. It was unfortunate for Tunisia yesterday. It was quite painful. They did their part, but the results from the other game meant they couldn't progress. So even though they left on a high by beating France, and they had 4 points. They qualified on points that were just 2 between them and Australia. You move away from that, and then you look at Morocco today. Then there's Cameroon and Ghana tomorrow. Ghana and Cameroon both have a chance, albeit slim. So going into the last day, we could say that all the African teams had a chance to qualify. And we are looking forward to having more than 2 for the first time in the history of the competition.
Great. Atta, let's leave the African teams and do a general overview of the tournament. It's been full of surprises, some interesting results. Morocco defeating Belgium, of all teams, Japan defeating Germany. We've had some interesting results, surprising results, obviously, at the Mundial. Let's take a look at some of these major surprises at the World Cup and just oppose that to how it's been over the years. Is this one of the biggest in terms of surprises at the World Cup, or you think is following the general form of things at the World Cup?
Well, thank you very much once again, Ben. It's quite the general trend that we've been seeing. You roll back to 1990, Argentina lost their opening game, and they lost to Cameroon. That was a big shock, not least the fact that they were defending champions. Progressed to 2002 in South Korea and Japan. Senegal beating France, who were defending champions and had a star-studded team, was unheard of. You look at Czech Republic and their pedigree in 2006, they lost to Ghana. Who couldn't understand? I mean, how does that even happen? In 2010, but this is something that happens quite often. There's a general trend of surprise or shock results. In 2014, in Brazil, we saw some of the results that Costa Rica, who were debuting, got, and we were all surprised. They moved all the way to the quarterfinals. You move away from that, you come to 2018. Nobody gave Russia a chance in 2018. It happens. But you see, Ben, in the end, you look at these shock results and it fits into a broader narrative of the giants from Europe and South America, always there in the last 4 in the final.